Hello and welcome along to another edition of the Andrew Eborn Show, where yet again I'm delighted to welcome back James Pratt. How are you, James?
So I can't do something like the goons.
You sound, the reason, I love it, you sound as though you've been sucking on some helium. Not something I would recommend.
Well, no, I don't. Presumably this would have been used in ancient times for dentistry or, inside balloons. Balloons? Yeah.
Well, I think it's absolutely wonderful. Of all the various things that have gone on in this over 500 recorded videos, we have never, ever, ever had somebody who sounds as though they were straight out of a Tiny Tim movie.
Oh, tiptoe through the tulips. But don't you mean Tintin?
Yes. Oh, no, that's the one. That's the one. Tintin. Yes. Tiny Tintin.
Tintin, Hergé got belated recognition for that. He took his initials and put them backwards. Tintin became something like a hero. Still is, I think. You may know that there was actually a Tintin shop. There isn't now, I'm sure. In Covent Garden. Beyond that point, I can't really go.
Right. Well, it is extraordinary, and I do love quirky noises. It's rather reminiscent of Michael Bentine's playtime. Oh, look, you're doing something funny with your hand now. What are you up to? Or are we going to see the ratings?
Is that better for you, or?
Well, I'll tell you what. Well, that's good as well. Oh, that's not so good. I can see behind your computer.
Forgive me, I'm a stubborn amateur. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what I love about this, James, and as delightful as it is to hear you, and I should get you to say something very, very serious in this newfound voice of yours. What I should do, I'm delighted, may I say, to see the return of the red braces, and you've got a pink, wonderful pink, glorious pink shirt to go with it.
This is a polo shirt. I'm not opposed to advertising. This is a pretty expensive one. I was given it by a friend of my mother's about 30 years ago. And such is the quality, the resilience that it has endured, and here it is.
Well, I think it's absolutely wonderful. So what I'm going to do, I want you to I'll give us your most serious bit of information about what we're going to do after the break, when maybe we'll come back and see some postcards of yours. And in that time, I may be able to persuade you to return your voice to normal. But give us a little taste of what's to come up later on in the show.
Certainly, Andrew. Later on the show, I will be forced at gunpoint to say things I don't want to say in a context that I can't easily cope with to people who are as unresponsive as recipients go, who are unable to define exactly what we're talking about because we haven't actually structured it correctly, or even scripted it, or even planned it, what nowadays would be called pre-plan. What I wondered about, that we'd have to start again, was whether you would be interested in a pure LWC interview. Pure.
Oh, wow, okay. And you've been interviewed, have you?
No, by yourself. What I mean is, that was our topic and no more. So it would be very interesting to them, we hope, but not to the wider audience, and we could put it on the LWC site, as I had done anyway, the Sterlings. Is that a plan or no?
Oh no, I think it's wonderful. I'm very tempted to keep you on with your glorious new voice. And I have to say, the reason that the Stirlings would appeal to the wider audience, and we've touched on this beforehand, is that the old Stirlings, the club, if you like, for anybody who was at Lord Wandsworth College, we have a number of dignitaries from around the world. Tell us, with your newfound voice, about some of those.
Well, I could do that. I mean, you don't mean now. You mean when I go off and
no, tell us now, because you've got this voice. I know that when I get you next on, you won't have this voice. It's a quirk of your machine, and I want to take every possible opportunity to get you to say as much as possible.
The benighted Peter Coulson is now QCMP, BBC TV. Was an old boy at the college, exactly my age group, but he was in this former bar, and has now become a judge, and has, as I can only repeat, been knighted. John Wilkinson, of course, if only the school would mention him occasionally. I have written to the school to show that it would be in their best interest to mention Gary. I'm going to expect them to find a picture of him, which I singularly failed to do. But for all of that, the Rugby International, the victory in 2003 in the World Cup in South Africa was as much his doing as I'm sure the team itself. Who else is a famous boy? The late Martin Whitto, who died so sadly a couple of years ago, classicist from Oxford, was about to be ennobled at the highest level of his college. Who else is a famous old boy? Julian Sands, the actor, of course, and Clapton just mentioning about Julian from Lancashire, who was in such things as Arachnophobia. Still looking for a picture of Johnny Wilkinson. Probably find one day, anyway. Is that enough? It's all that springs to mind immediately.
Well, all of those, and this is the reason why the next episode of the James Pratt show is going to be compulsive viewing. Not where James, we're going to lose the silly voice. We're going to reboot your computer. I will play this back to you, and you'll be delighted. You'll listen back. Generations in the future will listen back to the chess parrot and the moment he swallowed far too much helium, and they will enjoy this moment. So to finish this particular episode, you can tell us in your most serious voice what's going to happen with the world in this terrible time.
What's going to happen in this terrible time is that we don't know what's going to happen. We are only really the victims of that which we perceive and the world around us. My advice is to stay indoors, drink tea, and wear braces, and brace yourself for the future, which is as uncertain as could be perceived and conceived.
Fantastic. And I have to say that I want all government announcements done in a similar sort of voice. I will play this back to you, and I think we'll be a little bit surprised how you're sounding. But in the meantime, James Pratt, until the next exciting edition, thank you so much for joining me.
Goodbye, Andrew, and thank you.
Bye-bye. Well, I have to say, that was rather fun. I don't know what happens. Sometimes when people phone into the show, there's something quirky goes on with their computers at home. But James Pratt, in a terribly serious voice, sounding a little bit like Mickey Mouse, been hitting the helium, which is something you should never do. But we'll get him back on the show once he's finished that. But I do like the idea. Government announcements, if they're a bit too serious, we'll get them on the helium first. But for now, I've been Andrew Eborn. You've been fun and in your best squeaky voice. I'll see you next time. Bye.